All right, so today we're going to talk about siddhis and samadhi from the Hindu understanding of perspective. I was asked to actually talk about these by Urfers. I hope I'm saying that name right. Sorry if I'm not. So let's have a look at the actual sort of definitions themselves first. So, samadhi is the state of profound meditative absorption, and siddhis, spelled Siddhis, the transliteration of the actual Sanskrit word, obviously, is the extraordinary powers or attainments that arise as side effects of advanced spiritual practice. So, these two are often spoken of in the same breath, yet they do represent very different aspects of the spiritual path. Samadhi is the dissolution of the egoic self into the unified field of consciousness, while siddhis are the echoes that ripple from that dissolution itself. These are miraculous abilities that appear to defy the natural laws of space, time, and mind. Yet, this is where the paradox comes in. Those who seek siddhis may never reach samadhi, while those who attain samadhi often regard siddhis as distractions or tests to spiritual maturity. In traditional yogic philosophy, particularly in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, this tension is explicit. The practitioner is warned that fascination with siddhis can inflate the ego just when it should be dissolving. And yet, in tantric and esoteric traditions, siddhis are not always regarded as obstacles. They are sometimes integrated into the path as tools of transformation, signs of mastery, or even instruments of service. So to have a look at specifically samadhi to begin with. So samadhi is the crown of yogic practice, the state of meditative absorption in which the duality between subject and object collapses. In Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga specifically, samadhi is the eighth and final limb, following dhyana, or which is translated to meditation. Patanjali distinguishes between several levels of samadhi, including savikalpa samadhi, where some mental activity remains, such as form or thought. There is also nirvikalpa samadhi, where a state or beyond thought, identity, and concept. It's a pure merging with unconditional consciousness. In samadhi, the yogi is no longer an observer, but becomes one with the observed. The self, as normally conceived, or ego, personality, history, all that stuff, this is temporarily eclipsed by a direct apprehension of Purusha, the pure awareness underlying all phenomena. Time stops, space dissolves, there is no longer any division between inside and outside, self and other. Attaining samadhi is not a matter of effort, but complete surrender. It arises not from striving, but from stillness. The process of pratyahara, which is the withdrawal of the senses, dharana, concentration, and dhyana, meditative flow, prepares the groundwork for samadhi itself. But samadhi itself is grace. This is what really what is what happens when all striving ceases, and we simply just abide in awareness without clinging to it. All right, so now coming to siddhi. This comes from the Sanskrit root siddha, which means accomplishment or attainment. In the context of yogic and tantric traditions, siddhis are extraordinary abilities that manifest in the practitioner through intense spiritual discipline, particularly deep states of samadhi. Patanjali mentions many in the third chapter of the Yoga Sutras. Some of them include anima, which is the ability to become infinitesimally small. Try and say that 10 times. Mahima, which is becoming infinitely large. Laghima, which is levitational lightness. There's Garima, becoming incredibly heavy. Prapti, which is obtaining anything desired. Ishitva, which is lordship or command over nature. Vashitva, which is control over the elements or others' minds. And Kama Vasayita, just fulfilling any desire. So these are sometimes called the 8 great siddhis, but other texts such as the Bhagavata Purana and various tantric sources list many more, including clairvoyance, bilocation, omniscience, and even resurrection of the dead. So how do these powers arise? According to the Yoga Sutras, they emerge as natural byproducts of samyama, which is the combination of concentration, or dharana, and meditation, dhyana, and absorption, samadhi, focused upon a particular object or concept. For instance, by practicing samyama on the throat, one might gain control over hunger and thirst. By focusing on the heart, one might gain knowledge of the mind. Yet, crucially, Patanjali warns that siddhis can become obstacles if clung to, because they reinforce what is called asmita, the sense of separate selfhood that spiritual practice is meant to actually dissolve. Now, the core dilemma for the practitioner is this: should siddhis be pursued or transcended? Classical Advaita Vedanta and many other orthodox yogic traditions are very clear. Siddhis are snares. The Jivan Mukti, the liberated soul, may possess such powers, but feels no need to actually use or flaunt them. In, you're going to have to excuse me, this is a bit of a long one. Vivekachu Damani, Shankaracharya warns that, so many of these words really get me, and names, warns that seeking siddhis is like trading a kingdom for a pair of shoes. They may impress the ignorant, but they bind the wise. In contrast, tantric paths, particularly in Kashmir, Shaivism, and certain Buddhist Vajrayana schools, offer a more integrated view. Here, siddhis are neither obstacles nor ends in themselves, but tools. They are natural expressions of awakened energy, or Shakti, and can be used in service of healing, transformation, or transmission of realization. The tantric adept is not necessarily indifferent to power. They are expected to wield it responsibly under the guidance of compassion and non-attachment. In this view, the distinction between siddhis and samadhi is not hierarchical, but relational. So siddhis emerge from samadhi, but true mastery lies in not being seduced by them. From a Jungian or depth psychological lens, siddhis and samadhi can be understood as metaphors for the powers and dangers of the unconscious mind. Samadhi represents the integration of opposites, the union of conscious and unconscious, leading to a transcendent function. The ego dissolves and more total self emerges. The siddhis in this light are symbols of inner capacity, intuitive knowing, healing presence, synchronicity, charisma, and creative genius. They arise when the personality becomes transparent to deeper forces, but they can also inflate the ego if not handled with humility. This is what Jung called ego inflation, when the personality identifies with archetypal power instead of actually serving it. In mythic terms, siddhis are gifts from the gods, like Prometheus stealing fire or Odin gaining runes through sacrifice. They must be earned through ordeal, guarded with wisdom, and used with care. Now, in today's spiritual marketplace, the allure of siddhis remains potent. From claims of energy healing and psychic ability to modern techno-mystical parallels, such as manifestation, quantum consciousness, or mind over matter phenomena, there is a definite hunger for power dressed in spiritual language. The danger, as ever, is ego co-option. When spiritual powers are pursued for fame, wealth, or control, the path is corrupted. History is drenched with examples of gurus and magicians undone by their own powers, and yet there's also genuine potential. Modern neuroscience and parapsychology are beginning to validate subtle abilities once relegated to mysticism. Practices like remote viewing, biofeedback, and phenomena may echo ancient cities. We are rediscovering that the mind is not bound by the five senses. As our paradigms shift from materialism to consciousness based models, the reality of cities may be reevaluated. Importantly, cities in the modern world need to be supernatural. Compassion, deep listening, lucid dreaming, insight, and creativity are all forms of city when they arise from stillness, presence, and non attachment. The true mark of attainment is not display, but actual depth. Um, Between Siddhi and Samadhi does lie a threshold. One beckons the practitioner towards mastery of form, the other toward dissolution into the formless. Both are real, and both must be met with discernment. The Bhagavad Gita offers a powerful teaching in this regard. He who sees in action, and action in inaction is wise among men. I'll actually put that on the screen because it's a bit of a difficult one to listen to, actually. In other words, power is not always what it seems. Sometimes the greatest city is silence. Sometimes the truest samadhi is not retreat from the world, but action without attachment. Mystics across traditions echo this. The Sufi disappears into Fana only to return in Baka. The Mahasiddha flies through the sky not for spectacle, but because they are free. The saint performs miracles, not to prove divinity, but to serve the suffering. In the end, both siddhis and samadhi are aspects of Shakti. This is the divine creative power or force. To know them rightly is to be in right relationship with the sacred. To misuse them is to fall into what's called avidya, or ignorance, once again. The tension between siddhis and samadhi is not a contradiction, but a koan, what is called a koan in Zen Buddhism mostly. The powers that arise in the path are not the path. They are signposts, not destinations. They can be blessings or distractions depending on the maturity of the seeker. To possess cities but not be possessed by them, that is the wisdom itself. To enter samadhi without clinging to it, that's the freedom. The ultimate siddhi may be the ability to love without condition, to act without selfishness, and to see the divine in every moment and thing without need for spectacle itself. Samadhi is not escape, but it's clarity, and the powers that flow from it are only useful when guided by compassion. Whether we walk the path of renunciation or the tantric way of embodiment, the same truth applies. The goal is not power, but actual liberation. And when liberation dawns, power flows naturally, but silently and visibly, like the wind through the trees, asking for nothing and giving everything. But anyway, so hopefully that kind of covers that topic sufficiently. But thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Cheers for now. Bye bye.